All right. Hey, my friends, and welcome to another episode of the Restored Mind Show. My name is Matt Cotty, and for those of you that are with us today, I just want to say welcome. And today, I want to talk about the idea of being at internal peace regardless of external circumstances, and why that once we realize that it's our job to make sure that we are internally balanced, right? Then if we really focus like that, it doesn't matter what's going on in our external world. We can actually be at peace regardless of our circumstances. Now, I know that might be a radical concept, and I'm sure some of you, immediately want to jump to these radical ideas. Well, like, hey, what if you were in prison in the wrong way, or, wrongfully accused and all this? It's like, okay, look, maybe this doesn't apply to everything, but this definitely applies to what's going on in our current society right now. So today, as I'm filming this or recording this, tomorrow is going to be the presidential election for 2020. And, there's a lot of people who are very emotionally invested in the idea of their candidate winning. Right. And, one of the things that I've talked about with, my family, myself, my wife, my daughter, right. One of the main goals that we have, right, for our household is to be internally at peace with regardless of what happens in the election. Now, obviously, I voted, right? And I've cast my ballot, and so has my wife. And everyone has their ideas of what they would like to happen. Now, the problem is that it's not a problem to want something. It's not a problem to, cast your vote, and I encourage everyone to do so. The problem is when you become so emotionally attached to a specific result that's out of your control, that you will get emotionally disrupted as a result of you not getting what you voted for, right? And all of us, right, we should go and obviously submit our votes, right, submit our voice, right? And that's like one of the great things about living in the United States is we have that opportunity, right? But when it becomes a problem is if your candidate or if something you vote for doesn't happen, if you aren't going to be able to be at peace without that happening, you're always going to be at the whim of your external environment, which is going to lead to a lot of chaos in your life, right? Because think about it. If your internal well-being is contingent on an external reality that you can't control, well, when it doesn't go the way you want it to go, what's inevitably going to happen is that you're going to get into an internal state of chaos. When you're in an internal state of chaos, what happens after that? Your behavior follows suit, right? What you need to realize is that your world, the things you're in control over, your relationship, your job, your finances, your business, all of that, right? Your world is a direct reflection of what's going on inside of you, right? Your external world is a mirror for your internal world in many ways. And so when you look at something in your life and you don't like it, right? A lot of people, what they try to do is change that, right? So, they might not like their job, right? They might not like their business, how it's running. They might not like their relationship. And their first thought is to always change the outside, right? Change boss or, change your spouse or whatever, right? When you realize that the only thing that you've ever really had control over is your internal, right? Your internal, your perception, right? Your belief structures, all these things that happen inside of you. And your job has always been to manage that first, right? And if you manage that well, your external world tends to, balance out in that same way. When you're internally in chaos, and you're trying to change your external world, the reason you're always gonna feel frustrated is because it's a broken model. You're not in control of your external world all the time, right? But once you realize that you are in charge of your internal world, right? Your emotional balance, your emotional well-being, right? The stories and belief structures that you're feeding, right? When you realize that you're in charge of that, well, then whatever happens in your external world is irrelevant in many ways, because as long as you are okay in here, that's what really matters, right? Because if I'm emotionally invested in a certain result and that result doesn't happen, what's going to happen to me? I'm going to be emotionally disrupted. Then what's going to happen? I'm going to engage in behaviors that are going to mirror that, right? That, you know, and that's why when you talk about, you know, people getting destructive and rioting and things like that, it's like it actually has nothing to do with the external in many ways. It has many things to do with the idea that they're emotionally attached to a specific outcome that's out of their control, and because of that, they don't know what to do with it, right? So the emotional disruption just naturally leads to chaotic behavior in a chaotic environment in many ways. So, you know, as we go into this week, I wanted to, you know, put this kind of special episode out because I think the best thing that many of us, the only thing, right, that many of us should be really focused on is how can I be okay regardless of what happens? You know, because there's many things that we aren't in control over. And if you're invested emotionally at the idea that this needs to happen, and if it doesn't, I'm not going to be okay, well, if you're having that belief structure and you're thinking that the world or that this result needs to happen or I'm not okay, you're not going to be okay, because even if it does happen in the next 4 years, something else might change. And, you know, your goal, your you know, drive, you know, always should be to be in control of yourself, to be balanced, to be healthy. And how do you do that? Well, you know, you focus internally first. And once you can really master the internal, the external, in many ways doesn't matter. And I know that sounds radical. I know it sounds crazy. And look, I'm not here to tell you that I've figured it all out and that I have it down perfectly. I don't. But I know, you know, at least at this point in my life, you know, my wife and I have had, you know, several discussions on this, that our goal is to be emotionally detached from specific results and being able to be at balance and at peace with whatever happens that's beyond our control. Because if we do that, you know, ultimately that's a win for me and my wife and our family. Because if we allow that to disrupt us and we bring that chaos into our home in front of our daughter and you know, who knows, arguments with friends and into our relationships and all of that stuff, right, in an extended family, that's not good. Right? Because now I'm letting something that's beyond my control not only impact me, but impact my friendships, other relationships, my job, right? All, like, you know, with clients. I mean, you know, it can just go on and on and on. And that's why, you know, the one thing that I want for everyone that's listening to this is to be at peace, right? You know, because, and to be emotionally balanced and emotionally healthy, because that is going to have the trickle effect of positivity into every other aspect of your life. And realizing that how you are internally, that you have a ripple effect in all these areas, right? All these different aspects of your life. And once you realize that, then you start to see the importance of being internally at peace, internally balanced, because you realize it's not just about you. Like, how you are internally is going to impact how you are with your significant other or your children or your friends or your family or people at work. And that carries on to their internal and so on and so forth and so forth. So, you know, at Restored Minds, we always have that fundamental idea that in order to create a better world, I start with myself and I start with my mind, my emotional and mental well-being. And I work from there. I don't control my world to make that better. I make that better to ultimately, you know, heal and have a better world out in front of me. Because again, when we start from within, that's the area that we need to take responsibility for, and that's the area we have the most control over. And if we work from that, right, you're going to see the work much more clearly in what you need to do, because you're going to have things that you can do. It's something within your control, right? If you're having a bad emotional reaction to something, well, ask yourself, like, well, why? You know, why am I so invested in this, right? Why am I so emotionally disrupted because this person got elected and this person didn't? You know, am I playing out these things that aren't actually happening and reacting to those things, right? You know, am I future pacing these catastrophic events that aren't happening and then actually emotionally reacting to that? Because that's when the chaos really builds, right? You're okay now. with whatever happens, right, in the election. You're okay right now. And that's all that matters. And you're going to be okay in 5 seconds from now, and so on and so forth. And working from now and working from your own internal space, that's going to give you the most control, right? And give you the most focus on what you can actually doing to be, the best person you can be. So, regardless of what happens on Tuesday, my challenge this week to you is to be at peace with whatever happens, whether it's what you wanted or not to get too high or too low, and just, okay, hey, we voted, this happened, and how can I be at the most balanced state of myself, not just for me, but for everyone else around me. And if you're the person who tends to get radical one way or the other, like let's say your candidate wins, that doesn't mean you should go into work and rub it in someone's face who voted opposite of you. It's like who does, what does that say about you if you're that kind of person? Conversely, if your candidate doesn't win, you don't need to go and complain and then get in an argument with someone at work because, it didn't go your way. Both are not okay, and remembering that. It's like, and everyone has their own beliefs for their own, and votes their own ways based on so many factors. And again, let that happen. Right? That's a beautiful thing in many ways. And so, just wanted to kind of to tie that up, and at least present that this week as we move in. I know that there's going to be people that are going to be in a chaotic state, and that's going to be beyond your control too. There are going to be people that are very upset regardless of what happens. There's going to be a big group of people, that are very upset. My challenge to you is for you to be balanced, right? For you to be in control of yourself and for you to be okay. And if you can do that, that's a win, right? Because then the people in your life are going to be better off. The people at your work are going to be better off. And that ripple effect of positivity is going to happen because you took responsibility for yourself and you chose to be in control of yourself and not let an external event disrupt you to the point where it ripples in a negative way. So hopefully, that's helpful. Hopefully that makes sense. And, I really appreciate you for taking the time for hanging out together today. If you're looking for more resources when it comes to, building better mental health with, stress and anxiety, we have some free resources linked down below in the notes. So just go and click over that. You'll be taken to a place where you can, get some, immediate downloads. We also have, our community as well, where we do live calls as well, and other trainings for you at restoredminds.com. So thank you for taking the time to be with us today, and I wish you guys a great week, and I will look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you found it helpful, chances are someone else will too, and we'd really appreciate your support by liking and subscribing, and also sharing this video on your social platforms. Also, if you're looking for additional help, we have some resources right down in the links below to help you on your journey. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you soon.